Hello and welcome back to Shardcast. This is a special Shardcast in the fact that this is our 10th episode. It took a little bit to get here, but we're here now. We've had over 250 views on the different Shardcast episodes, and we have 8 subscribers thus far on the Shardcast YouTube channel. So if you are new to the Shardcast family, this is a Hex Shards of Fate Shoutcast. My name is Aaron Froats. I am the host. My screen name in Hex is Fruitlvania, and you can find that at the bottom of the screen there, as well as my Twitter handle. If you are a member of the Shardcast subscriber family, then welcome back and thank you very much. I do this for my personal enjoyment, but also to kind of give a different look at Hex Shards of Fate to those of you viewing out there, whether you're playing or you're interested in playing in the future. So, I guess, without further delay, let's go ahead and get into today's matchup. We'll be doing an exhibition match today between Wandering and Govir. Wandering will be playing a Dwarf deck, while Govir will be playing a Mono Blood deck. This is an exhibition match that we'll be watching under the point of view of Govir. So let's go ahead and see if we can't get that game underway for you. Over on C. There we go. As we open up, Govir will open up with the winning the flip. We didn't quite catch that. Opens up with 6 shards first hand, 4 shards second hand. He's mulliganing down to 5. 4 shards again. I guess he's going to have to go down to 4 cards, which isn't pleasant no matter which kind of deck you're playing. But really have an option there. He's going to stick with the 4 card hand, I'd imagine, which leaves him with a Blood Shard, a Blood Cauldron, a Shinhair Highborn, and a Wretched Brood. And he'll open up his first turn with a Blood Shard and pass the turn back over to Wandering. Now again, this is our 10th episode of Shardcast. We've been doing everything from exhibition matches to tournament matches, as we try to bring you a unique perspective at Hex from a esports shoutcasting point of view. As Wandering plays a Sapphire Shard and drops a bottle of Vitae, or Vitae, and pass the turn back over to Govir. I try to give you a little play-by-play. That way you can listen to it while you may be supposedly working. Or maybe I can give you a little bit of insight of what may be played in the future or what could have been played. So if you have any feedback, feel free to drop me a line on Twitter or leave a note in the comment section of the video. Govir did not have another shard, so he had to pass turn without playing anything. So he's going to fall behind quickly. Wandering will play a Technical Genius, which will... and a Sapphire Shard, Sapphire Shard and Technical Genius, which will allow all the other artifacts that come into play to cost 1 less. So he's really going to speed up the tempo here on his side of the board. Govir has to hope to draw a shard here soon. And does not. It looks like he picks up a Bloodbearer, which is a 1-drop, so he can at least play it. Bloodbearer is a 1/1 troop, and whenever it or another Shinhair dies, the owner gains 1 life back. So he at least gets a creature out on the board, or troop out on the board, but he can't play much else with only that 1 shard and 1 threshold out there. He'll pass turn back over to Wandering. The idea of a Dwarf deck is to get a lot of interaction between cards, a lot of combos going on. So you'll probably see a bunch of cards come out into play, a lot of smaller cards that interact with each other. And he's going to play another Technical Genius. So you get 2 on board, which means all artifacts will cost 2 less now. And he's going to play his Champion Charge power, which is a Worker Bot, which is a 1/1 defensive troop, meaning it can't attack, it can only block. And we'll see if he swings one of the Technical Geniuses into the Bloodbearer. Decides not to. It wouldn't have been that bad of a play, because even if Govir blocked, he couldn't have killed it. Especially with no resources in hand to do anything else but block. But he decides to pass turn instead. Govir finally gets a Blood Shard. So he can drop the Shinhair Highborn. And uses his champion power of Gozog to deal 1 damage to the opposing champion. And get 1 life back. The Shinhair Highborn says when it dies, create 2 Battle Hoppers, put them into play. Battle Hoppers are 0/1 troops. And he will pass turn back over to Wandering. For those of you who do follow the Shardcast a little more closely, you will have noticed it's been a little while since I put a video out. As Wandering drops an Eldritch Dreamer with the Draw a Card gem. It's a 3/3 unblockable. Whenever it deals damage to opposing champion, you draw a card. It's been a few days since I've dropped a video out into the world. I have been under the weather, and you may be able to tell a little bit from my voice if you listen to some of the earlier episodes. It seems to be subsiding a little bit, so I was able to bring this video to you tonight. Govir draws and drops another Blood Shard, but will pass turn, leaving 3 resources open, and with that Murder in hand, he'll be able to drop that in response to another card played by Wandering, or maybe take that Eldritch Dreamer off the board, which I would guess that's where he's going to go with it, because you really can't get rid of it otherwise, because you can't block it. And I believe that was a Sapper's Charge that was dropped. We'll have to take a look at that card here again in a second. By Wandering. It was a free card because it is an artifact and costs less than 2 because of technical geniuses. And he put the Research Librarian out there, which is a 1/2 troop, and if you exhaust it, you can actually draw a card from your deck and discard one back. So, Wandering swings with Eldritch Dreamer, and Govir immediately murders it to get it off the board. Not a bad play whatsoever. Govir sitting at 21 health and Wandering at 19. Wandering with 2 technical geniuses, a Worker Bot, and a Research Librarian on his side of the board, as far as troops go. And Govir with a Bloodbear and a Shinir Highborn. Govir draws a Life Siphon. But I would imagine he's going to drop probably the... I would guess the Blood Cauldron Ritualist. He can drop any of them, really. You don't want to really use the Life Siphon because he only has 3 resources. It doesn't really help him out here. The Wretched Brood, maybe to start putting blockers out there. But it deals 1 damage to him at the start of each turn when it puts the Battle Hopper out there. So, yep, he goes with the Ritualist. Blood Cauldron Ritualist is a 1/1 troop for 3. That says if you sacrifice another troop you control, the Ritualist becomes a 4/4 till end of turn. Meaning when he does start putting those Battle Hoppers into play from the Wretched Brood, he can start sacrificing those and make Blood Cauldron Ritualist a 4/4 each turn. So he'll pass turn over to Wandering. Wandering draws a card and drops another Sapphire Shard, giving him 5 Sapphire Shards. 2 cards left in hand. That was a Sapphire Charge. Looks like Wandering plays a Surge Mechanism, which he can activate and gain... I believe he has to pay 2 resources and gain 1 temporary resource, 1 permanent resource, I believe. Forgive me, I am a little foggy due to this illness, but I don't really want to use that as an excuse. I'm trying to bring you professional level content here. Govir draws an Extinction, but he doesn't have the resources to play it. He still stuck at 3 resources, so he can either play his Life Siphon in hand or drop the Wretched Brood, which I'd imagine he's going to just to start pumping that Ritualist up. Or he may decide to hold on to the resources to bluff, but I can't see that being a viable plan here because he has to start dealing with those troops on board. Govir thinking it over. Wretched Brood again is a constant that at the start of your turn you can put a battle hopper into play, which is a 0/1 troop. It also costs you 1 life each turn as well. So there's a little bit of a drawback, but each of those turns he can make the Ritualist a 4/4. So he's going to swing the Ritualist here. I wonder if he's planning on sacrificing something. Well, maybe not. So I'd imagine he'd have to sacrifice something in case someone blocks. Yep, he decides not to attack instead. So he will just pass turn. Surprisingly, he doesn't drop the Wretched Brood on the board. And Wandering with 2 cards in hand will draw for his turn. And he plays a Terrabot, which is usually 7 cost, but down to 5 because of the technical geniuses. And it's a flight creature for 3/4. Actually, I believe it costs 1 less for each dwarf and artifact in play as well, so it actually costs him 0 to play as a free card. Plays the Surge Librarian. Bumps his permanent total up to 6 resources. He's still got 3 in play. Pays 2, activates the Sapper Charge, which sacrifices it, and he's going to take the Bloodbearer off the board, it looks like. In response, I'm pretty sure Govir is going to sacrifice it just to make the Ritualist to 4/4 till end of turn. Because he sacrifices the Bloodbearer, he goes up 22 health. In response to the sacrifice, Wandering cracks his Bottled Vitae, which boosts his health up to 20. Draws a card and gains a charge. Draws another Terabot and plays it immediately. We're still waiting for everything to fall off the stack here. Yeah, okay, in the second main phase, Wandering plays another Worker Bot from his Champion Power. So we're looking at 7 troops now in front of Wandering. 2 Technical Geniuses, which are 1/2s. 2 Worker Bots, which are 1/1s. A Resource Librarian is 1/2. And 2 Terabots, which are 3/4 flying creatures. Govir draws another Wretched Brood. Still only 3 resources, so he needs a little work here. He's going to have to drop one of the Wretched Broods, though, just to keep his Ritualist up in play, I would imagine. Choose to pass on his first main phase. Skips the attack phase and skips the second main phase. So he's just going to pass turn with an Extinction in his hand, a Life Siphon, and 2 Wretched Broods. So Wandering will start now with 6 resources because of the Surge Mechanism. Draws a card to put 3 in hand. Drops an Eternal Guardian. Wow. A 5/5 flight creature that says prevent all damage dealt to you and other troops you control. Meaning the only target that Govir can possibly have now will have to be the Eternal Guardian. And I can imagine Wandering's going to start swinging the house here. Yep, here it goes. Swinging the Librarian, the 2 Geniuses, and the 2 Terabots. Remember, the Worker Bots are defensive troops, so they can't attack. So swinging for 6, 7, 8, 9, 6 of it flying. Govir will want that 4th shard so he can play Extinction and get the Eternal Guardian off the board. Govir chooses to block the Librarian with the Highborn. Block one of the Geniuses with the Ritualist. And before damage is dealt, he sacrifices the Highborn and makes the Ritualist a 4/3. Alright, so now we've got a Ritualist in play and a Battle Hopper for Govir. He drew his 4th shard. So as much as he doesn't want to, you have to think Extinction's coming up here, because he has to get that Eternal Guardian off the board. Otherwise, he can't deal any damage to either the champion or any of the other troops. Yep, here comes the Extinction. So that'll wipe the board. The only thing being left in play at all will be the Surge Mechanism on Wandering side of the board. So Govir will be out of resources, so he will pass the turn. He did use his Champion Power. Oh, I'm sorry, his Champion Power is available. He's going to use it now. Bring his health back up to 16 and bring a Wandering down to 19. Govir 3 cards in hand, a Life Siphon, and 2 Wretched Broods. Wandering has 2 cards in hand. As we move into turn 8. As Govir and Wandering exchange a couple words across the chat function there. Wandering knowing that 4th shard was going to do his board in, and sure enough it did. Wandering draws his card for turn. And plays another Research Librarian. Once per turn, you can pay 7, draw a card. Pays another Research Librarian. Taps the Surge Mechanism. So he Used all 7 resources. Gained a temporary resource though. He's got 2 research librarians on the board, 1 card in hand, and 7 permanent resources, 0 temporary. Passes turn back to Govir. You have to think with the board being nullified, Govir now with pretty much, I would imagine, most of the resources he needs now should be able to ramp things up a little bit, depending on what he draws. Ooh, High Tomb Lord off the top of the deck. Can't play it though because it's a 6-drop. That would be huge right now. High Tomb Lord is a 0/0 troop. It gains +1/+1 for each card in all graveyards. So Govir chooses to pass on the Life Siphon and just passes turn back over to Wandering. Draws card for turn. Activates the Surge mechanism, going down to 5 resources. Plays a Bottle of Vitae, down to 4 resources. 1 card in hand. Probably crack the Vitae right away, I'd imagine, to draw another card. Got 4 resources to play with, 1 card in hand. He has not cracked the Vitae. Instead, he'll probably swing with both geniuses. He does. Directing 2 damage towards Govir. With no blockers, Govir will take it, going down to 14 health. 19-14 now. As we've now reached about the 10-minute mark here in the game. Govir draws another Extinction. Does he use it now, or does he wait to see what Wandering is going to play? I would imagine he's going to Life Siphon. Yep, here he goes. He's going to Life Siphon here just to get some of the health back, put a little bit of pressure on Wandering. But Extinction really doesn't help. He's taking 2 1/2s off the board. Not really efficient for a 4-drop board wipe, so he'll go ahead and buy himself 2 more turns with the way that Wandering's attacking, since Wandering's only doing 2 damage each time. Wandering now has 8 resources, draws a card for turn, give him 2 cards, drops another Sapphire Shard, 9 resources, 6 threshold. And here comes another Eternal Guardian. 5/5 flight for 8. Can't deal any damage to himself or any of the troops he controls, so he's got to get that Guardian back off the board. Cracks the Vitae, goes up to 16 health, draws a card. Now we'll swing 2 turns attack phase, bringing in the health totals all even at 16. But that 5/5 flyer's got to come off the board, so you have to know Govir's playing his Extinction next turn. Really doesn't have an option here. He really doesn't want to play anything else because he'll have to wipe his own creatures off the board. He drew a Shinhir Eulogist. Plays the Extinction to wipe the board, which will exhaust all of his resources. Shinhir Eulogist says whenever another Shinhir you control dies, the Eulogist gains permanent +1/+1. Govir passes turn back over, tied at 16 health. Again, the board is empty except for the Surge mechanism on the Wandering side. Wandering draws card for turn. Drops another Eldritch Dreamer. And then a Charge Bot, emptying his hand. Charge Bot's a 1/1 for 1. And activates the Surge mechanism, so he has 10 permanent resources now. The Eldritch Dreamer could be a problem because it's unblockable. And Govir doesn't have any removal stuck in his hand left. So Wandering will pass turn back over. He does draw a Blood Shard. Let's see if he goes with the Eulogist here or the Retching Brood. I would imagine the Eulogist because Retching Brood doesn't serve any blockers because, again, the Eldritch Dreamer is unblockable. So there goes the Eulogist on board. It's a 2/1. Again, another Shinhir he controls dies. The Eulogist gets permanent +1/+1. Puts a Retching Brood out there, so now puts himself on a clock. Each turn he can put a Battle Hopper in play, but it will cost him a life each turn. So he's effectively having 4 damage against him each turn, 1 from the Retching Brood and 3 from the Eldritch Dreamer. So he's on a 4-turn clock unless he can get something else out there. Govir, without any more resources left, will pass turn. Back over to Wandering. Turn 14 now. Wandering with no cards will draw off the top of the deck with 10 resources. A Charge Bot in play, a Eldritch Dreamer in play, and a Surge Mechanism in play. The top deck is a Bottle Vitae. He'll play that in immediately. That's the third one of those we've seen thus far from Wandering. And you have to imagine he'll attack with the Dreamer. Yep, here it comes. Which will allow him to draw another card. With 9 resources in hand, he can play something easily on his second main phase. And there goes the 3 damage to Govir as he can't block the Eldritch Dreamer. Going down to 13 health. The ability is activated as a result. Wandering draws a card. It's another Sapphire Shard. Cracks the Bottle Vitae, going up to 17 health, gaining another Champion Charge, going up to 5 Champion Charges. Draws another card. 9 resources still available for Wandering, so I'm imagine anything he drew he can still play. Activates Surge Mechanism, goes down to 7 temporary, goes up to 12 permanent resources. And decides to pass turn, holding that 1 card in hand. Couldn't imagine counter magic or anything like that being in this deck, but that's always a possibility with Sapphire deck. Govir gets a 6th blood shard, and here comes the High Tomb Lord. You have to imagine. He's going to use his Champion Charge power first, knocking Wandering back down to 16 health and going back up to 13 himself. High Tomb Lord coming on board. And there are a total of 24 cards in the graveyard, so it comes out as a 24-24. And that's going to be a force to be reckoned with. Now, it doesn't have Crush or anything like that. So as long as Wandering can chump block, he'll be able to bide a couple turns, but he's got to get that thing off the board. Now, he can make 2 Worker Bots with his charge powers. So he'll buy him at least 3 turns because he has the Charge Bot on board too. And I guess he could sacrifice the Dreamer if he absolutely had to. Draws card for turn. Activates his champion ability. Oh, that does cost 3 charges. I thought it was 2 charges. So you can only buy 2 turns here with that, because he only has 2 champion charges left now. Oh, there goes the Sapphire Shard, which is what he drew there. Bring it back up to 3 charges. He'll swing with the Eldritch Dreamer, which can't be blocked. Knocking Govir down to 10 health, and allowing himself to draw another card. Bring his cards in hand up to 2. 13 resources available. Plays another Surge Mechanism. Activates 1. 8 temporary, 14 permanent. Activates the other. 6 temporary, 15 permanent now. Still 1 card in hand. And he will pass turn. Govir will now be on the offensive now with that 24-24 Highborn. He draws a card for turn. And that is a hideous... I apologize, I can't read that on the resolution of the screen here. I do know it's a constant 2-drop. I'll give you more information in just a moment. As Govir stuck with 1 card in hand, just that Wretched Brood left. He doesn't want to put another clock on him because that turn brought him down to 9 health. He decides to swing with the Eulogist, which is 2-1, and the 24-24 High Tomb Lord. You have to imagine the Tomb Lord's going to be blocked, otherwise the game's over. Hideous Conversion. Sacrifice a troop and gain... Troops gain plus... Oh, sorry. Gain -1... Sorry. Sacrifice a troop. Troops gain +1/+1. So there we go. I'm sorry, sacrifice a troop, you gain 1 temporary resource. I'm looking at the wrong card here. I was looking at the Eulogist still. Because the sacrifice of the Shinhir increases the Tomb Lord's power because of the number of cards in the graveyard. Activates the Eulogist power because it's a Shinhir troop. That's why those were increasing. The Hideous Conversion says sacrifice a troop and gain 1 temporary resource. Using it as a sacrifice engine so you can get troops off the board and increase the power of both of his troops. Good play there. Sorry about that. At the end of the day, the Eulogist attacked for 4. The Tomb Lord was blocked, so Govir's at 9, Wandering's at 12. Wandering draws for turn. Plays a Worker Bot for charge power and a Technical Genius. And will swing with the Dreamer. So he has a Genius out there and 2 Worker Bots to be able to stave off the High Tomb Lord. However, that Eulogist is up to 4/3 and will be able to pass through without being blocked. So Wandering's now on the clock here. Govir at 6 health with the damage from the Dreamer. Wandering activates both mechanisms on his second main phase, going down to 10 temporary and 18 permanent resources. That seems to be like it would be a better deck in Govir's hands if possible, used with the Life Siphon, but alas, we move on. Govir draws the Blood Shard for his turn. Loses 1 health, down to 5 due to the Wretched Brood, but now he can actually sacrifice that Battle Hopper and increase the power of both of his troops using the Hideous Conversion. As we move to the attack phase, swings the Eulogist and the High Tomb Lord. Blockers to be declared. Wandering is going to block both with his Worker Bot and his Charge Bot. Neither creature has Crush. However, with both of those bots coming off the board, it did give +2/+2 to the High Tomb Lord, who's now a 29-28 till end of turn. It will be a 29-29 at the end of the turn. And we have to think that we've got maybe 2 turns left on each side here. Govir has to get some sort of life gain, or else he's going to end up dying himself due to the Wretched Brood. Wandering draws a card, plays a Sapphire Shard, still has 1 card left in hand. Will swing 3, can't be blocked. So Govir's on a 2-turn clock as well, because next turn, Wandering can put that 3 through without being blocked, and that's game over. Wandering draws a card off the ability, so Govir has to top deck something to be able to get that 29-29 through, or deal some sort of damage. He kind of needs a Life Siphon here. Life Siphon, or a way to get the Eldritch Dream off the board, maybe like a Murder or some sort of removal spell, Persecute. Oh, there's a Murder! That's going to do it. Govir down to 1 health due to the Wretched Brood, but he's going to live here. He's going to take the Technical Genius off the board instead so he can get the 29-29 through. Wanderer with no blockers available because the Dreamer is still exhausted from the previous turn. Govir top decks for the win. No blockers available, and now the 31-31 High Tomb Lord will go through untouched. Wow. Forget your Dreamer. I'm just going to get your 1/2 Genius off the board. Well played. And with the Tomb Lord and the just swinging, that will end the game. What seemed to be a very slow and trudging along game there at the beginning turned out to be an excellent game there at the end. Looking for a Life Siphon of sorts, or maybe even a Murder. He grabbed a Murder, so that is huge there. And I can't believe any other card wouldn't help them. Murder, I wasn't seeing him running any Persecutes. So Murder, Life Siphon, some way to get his creature off the board, and it worked because that Dreamer swinging for 3 next turn unblocked. That would have been the end of the game for Govir. So exciting match there at the end, as control decks tend to do, or these slower mid-range decks do. Took a little while to get going, but it turned out to be an excellent game there at the end. So again, Govir versus Wandering. Govir takes the win with 1 health remaining here in this exhibition match on the Milestone 10th episode of Shardcast. I thank you again for joining us, and until next time, So long.
Brace yourself.